I'm Jeff Reese, and I'm here today to announce that I'm running for the office of Mayor of Villa Rica. A great city is measured by the quality of lives of the people who live in it. I spent the better part of 14 years of my life involved in quality of life decisions in this city. Now is the time for leadership grown out of that experience to lead this city forward. That's what I've done in the past as your humble civil servant, and that's what I'll do as your mayor. I grew up in Smyrna, Georgia, the adopted son of a proud veteran of World War II and respected firefighter for 32 years. My mother worked at the Bell Bomber plant in Marietta to help with that same war effort. Together they instilled in me a deep sense of civic pride, a love for this country and for my community. As a young man, I was blessed to have worked with some of the greatest minds in government, men like Jim Miller and Ernest Barrett, the names you'll remember, the people I remember. These men shared one common trait. They had a vision, they had a passion, they had drive, and they had the leadership ability to move a city or a county forward. My life experiences have taught me that you can get more done when you work with people than when you work against them. But it's also where I learned to be prepared to fight the tough fight. And I learned that making a real difference in people's lives was what really mattered, not the fight. In 1998, I moved from Smyrna to Villa Rica, and one of the first faces that greeted me was Miss Hazel Roberts, who I asked to be here today with me. She sold me the home that I still live in to this day. I grew to love the city of Villa Rica and this lady, and she come to represent what set Villa Rica apart from any other community that I've ever been to, and that was a love for that community. I fell in love with the small town charm, the history, and the sense of pride that was and still is Villa Rica. In March of 2001, I went to work for the city in the Parks and Recreation Department and worked there successfully for 14 years. During my employment here, I was blessed to have a hand in the vision, purchase, and development of many of the parks and public facilities in the city, including the V-Plex, Pine Mountain Gold Museum at Stockmar Park, the Fullerville Soccer Complex, Cleghorn Street Park, and this very amphitheater where we're standing today. Their development could not have been possible without the vision of many co-workers, public officials, volunteers, and individuals who share a love for this city and its rich history. I am particularly proud of the fact that hundreds of thousands of taxpayer dollars were saved due to inmate labor and countless hours of hard-working employees and volunteers involved in those projects. So what sets me apart from any other potential candidate as your mayor is hands-on experience. I am proud of my accomplishments in Villa Rica, and it could be said that one can look in any direction in Villa Rica and see my vision for the city and my handiwork. But I'm not done yet. As your mayor, I will offer new ideas for an ever-changing city. The face of this city is ever-changing, and we continue to move the city forward, and we must continue to move the city forward. But we must do it in a cautious way. I'm not for unbridled growth. I think there are a lot of examples in the state of Georgia. Peachtree City is one that comes to mind. I don't think it's possible for any city to curb growth completely, but I do think it's possible for a city to control the growth that comes to it, and that's what I stand for. But I'm also a quality of life mayor, and I will. I've devoted the better part of 36 years of my life to quality of life, and I will continue that fight. It's been said that the end of progress is the beginning of decay. We must formulate an aggressive approach to meet the challenges that face us today. I propose private-public partnerships wherever possible. This leverages the tax dollar to its fullest extent to meet those challenges. We are not an island. And as your mayor, I will work hard to open doors with Douglas County and Carroll County and the surrounding jurisdictions, realizing that by opening those doors, we strengthen partnerships and we make better use of our tax dollars. We are all VR, from Bay Springs in the south to Fullerville in the north, from Mirror Lake to our east to the Highway 78 corridor near the high school in the west. As your mayor, I will work hard to break down those barriers and provide connectivity. Safety is always paramount, and I support putting more officers on our streets, supported by the highest quality training and newest and best technology available. And I also support paying those brave men and women, along with every other deserving employee in this city, a salary that is comparable to other jurisdictions and commensurate with their responsibilities. We need to train and retain employees once we invest that training. To curb crime, I support expanded community partnerships through Neighborhood Watch programs. The quality of life in Villa Rica must match the quality of our drinking water, roads, pedestrian walkways, and infrastructure. As your mayor, I will tackle those issues with our water, which is basic and essential to human survival. I will encourage other citizens to get involved and get out of their automobiles and walk through pedestrian walkways. But pedestrian walkways are of no good to us if we don't have safe intersections to cross. We're going to tackle that. As a mayor and council, we're going to find out ways that we can get people from point A to point B across city streets without them having to stand there for 2 hours to wait for the lights to turn green. Quality of life also means quality jobs. I will work with the City Council to create a climate that encourages business and entrepreneurs to follow their ingenuity and invest in their ideas. I want to see every storefront in historic downtown filled with small businesses. A vibrant downtown is essential to a sense of community, but I don't want to stop there. Villa Rica is bigger than downtown. It's Highway 61 in Bay Springs and Mirror Lake and Fullerville. In my administration, every business will have a voice. I will work with the Villa Rica Economic Development Authority to find land for expansion of the industrial park. These businesses provide citizens with jobs, and they offset the tax burden on property owners. As an employee, I coined a program that to this day makes Villa Rica a nicer place to live. The Improving Villa Rica One Block at a Time landscape improvement program is responsible for much of the landscaping you see throughout the city today. I want to expand that to one community at a time and improve streets, landscaping, sidewalks, etc., citywide. As your mayor, I will work hard to establish gateways into the city so that others can see our pride. If we're going to make it, now is the time for proven leadership and measures and balances the needs of every neighborhood and of every citizen. To lead this city, the next mayor will need to work tirelessly to maintain the confidence of its citizens. I believe I am that leader, and I believe my history and my record tell that story. Others may run, but no one has the passion, the vision, the experience, the dedication, and the leadership to move this city forward like I do. That's why today I offer my candidacy for mayor of Villa Rica, because I believe I have a lifetime of experience that counts, experience that I'll put to work for you. Lastly, I'm not a career politician. In fact, I've never run for public office before. I'm just a common man with an insatiable love for my community and a vision for what Villa Rica can be. I ask for your input, but most importantly for your prayers and support. God bless America, and may God continue to bless this great city. Thank you. I'm still wired, so I guess I'll continue to talk. So.
Are you taking questions?
No.
Why not?
Probably be inappropriate at this time. Let me just tell you here's what's going to happen. This is the way this thing's going to play out. Officially, the council has to vote to have a special election or an election to fill the vacant seat of mayor. That has to take place first. So I'm announcing before that's even taken place. So whatever ward you live in, if you live in the city of Villa Rica, make sure your council person knows that. But we'll know as early as next Tuesday, but sometime in the future we'll know when that election. As it stands now, the election's set for November the 8th. If anything changes on that, you'll see it. My Facebook's already up. I'm looking around seeing people. Ronnie Pendergrass sitting back in the back, been my friend. Ronnie, raise your hand. This man has been by me since we could walk. He stood by my side. He's my fishing partner also. But my boss over here, bosses, my co-workers, y'all just don't know how much it means. Rochelle, we fought so many battles together, and we're going to continue to fight those battles. I would love for anybody here, many of you have already asked to be on the committee, but every one of you invited to be a part of my election committee. Because, folks, I'm going to tell you the truth. I can't do this without your help. And I mean this from the bottom of my heart. This is not about me. I'm not running against anyone. I'm not running against Jay. I'm not running against any candidate. As a taxpayer and a U.S. citizen, I hope 10 people run for mayor. That's of no consequence to me whatsoever. I'm not running against anyone. I'm running for the office of mayor, and I mean that. Some have asked, why do I want to run? I left the city in October of 2014, and people said, why do you want to come back? I left the city, folks, but the city never left me. I love this city. I chose it as my home. I dine at these restaurants. You know, I still buy. If Jabos were still here, I'd still, you know, shop at the hardware store. This is my town. This is where I want to lay my head down one day for the final time. And when you have a love for something like that, you want to invest in it. This city's invested a lot in me, and I want to return that favor. That's the reason I'm running for mayor. Not for money, obviously. Not for status. I could have rode off into the sunset. RP Paving is a great company to work for. I love Ryan. Love you to death, brother. I've known him since he was a teenager. I'm so proud of the job he's done. Jody Milline standing in the back there, you know, soccer program, guru. He's the man. Standing next to the asphalt guru, Chris Carter. Danny Fisher, God bless you, brother. Danny Fisher, yeah, I got to clap for Danny. I'm going to tell you, you know, you heard me say that I did a lot of things up here, but I couldn't have done any of those things without Danny Fisher by my side. If I could draw it on a napkin, and that's a true statement, I drew something on a napkin one time for Danny in a restaurant, and he built it. He built it with inmate labor.
That's how we save all that taxpayer money.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. So, I mean, so many people, I hate to start calling Dennis Brown, you've been by my side, you know, John Hannaback, through rough times, Mike McPherson, got to lose the hat, but, you know, otherwise pretty good guy. Kim Stovall, God bless you, and Twyla made this amphitheater what it is. I was so proud when we opened the doors here, and I think the 6th anniversary the other day of the Mill Amphitheater. What a great place for the city of Villa Rica. And, you know, these places will be here long after I'm gone. Brother David Sullivan over here, been a mentor to mine since I moved to this city. Thank you, David. My wife, Teresa, God bless you. I went to dress myself last night, and that's not always a good idea.
Okay.
Because to me, dressing up means a pair of blue jeans and a fishing shirt that folds in the back so it kind of breezes. Y'all know what I'm talking about, the Columbia type shirts with a bass in my hand. That's me. Teresa said, no, we can't do that. So we had to go last night and buy some a suit of clothes. And my mother-in-law, raise your hand. You're such a blessing to me. This lady right here exceeds me in enthusiasm. She's one of the hardest working people I've ever met in my life. Debbie Roberts, raise your hand. Debbie's been a precious person to me. And this woman right here, I can't move because I'm mic'd up, but I'm going to tell you what, I mentioned Miss Hazel because I'll tell you the story. When I moved to Villa Rica, I had a truck and some guns and some clothes in the back of my truck. And I drove into Villa Rica and I stopped at the McDonald's restaurant. And I ate lunch and I thought, just a pretty nice little community. I was raised in Smyrna, like I said. And I was riding down 78 Highway and I saw Strickland Realty, saw the sign. And I walked in and this precious lady was in there. And I walked in and introduced myself, and it was like I'd known her for 10 years. We talked for the next 2 hours. And she said, you know what? I'm going to find you a house here in the city of Villa Rica. I thought, well, okay. She's a real estate agent. Maybe no other real estate agents here, I hope. But I thought, well, this may or may not happen. 3 days later, she called me. She said, I found you a house. You're going to love it. And I still live in that house to this day. But not only did she do that, but I didn't know it. Things happen for a reason. I believe that with all my heart. And I worked for Douglas County Parks and Recreation at the time as assistant director. And so when I was talking to Hazel, she said, so tell me about your background. So I told her I've been in recreation. I was assistant director in Cobb County, assistant director in Douglas County of Parks and Recreation. And so she said, well, we've got an opening out here. Tiny Cole, who most of you that have been from Villa Rica know that, Tiny Cole had passed away. She said, you should put in for that job. She said, I know some folks. Okay. So I did. In January, actually, of 2001, I put in for the job. And so when Steve Russell, who was the city manager at the time, interviewed me, he said, boy, you've got some connections, don't you? I said, well, no, I don't know anybody out here, actually. I just moved in the house 3 years ago. I'm by myself. And he said, well, you really don't know who put in a good word for you? And I said, no, I mean, really can't think of anybody that knows me out here. And he said, Hazel Roberts? And I said, yeah, she was my real estate agent. He said, that's the mayor's sister. He said, you didn't know that, did you? I said, no, I really didn't. And then he said, do you know Steve Russell? And I said, I do know, I mean, not Steve Russell. He said, do you know Stan Hardegree? And I said, I do. I write articles. At the time, we had a Villa Rica Voice here in Villa Rica, and I wrote the gardening articles for the Villa Rica Voice. And so he said, do you know him? And I said, well, yeah, he's my boss. And he said, well, he's one of my best friends. And I said, well, I guess God intended me to be here. So, and he did, and I've loved this community since then. So thank you all for being here. I kind of digress. This is kind of I never expected to be running for office. This is kind of I won't say it's a dream of mine because I never really dreamed it, but I did dream to finish what I started here. And that's what I wanted y'all to hear today. Thank you for being here. I'm going to open my Facebook page up probably tonight. Kim Stovall has been working on that. Please get with me if you have questions. Be glad to answer them if I can. I'm sure there'll be forums in the future once the council decides when we can officially have the election for mayor, and then I'm sure we'll have forums, and I'll answer any of your questions. I worked for a man one time, and Danny, I hate to call you out, we've got Dannyisms, we call them. And I worked for a man one time in Cobb County that would take slogans or old sayings and he would kind of change it a little bit, and he really didn't know he did it. That's what made it funny. And you've heard that my door's always open, and he would always say, my door's always here. So I will leave you with that.